Hey, Stephen. Hey, Timothy. Can you guys hear me? Is there any sound coming through? Is this sound working? Hey, Grand Rising. Hey, Raven. Tamara, Infinite One. Kate, Kleinsteber. Wow. Megan, totally cool. Maxie. Maxie from Florida. What's up? Okay, Linda, Tamara. Yeah, Stephen, John, Tarode. You can hear me. Okay, good, good. Okay, I'm using a different microphone. Does it? I listened to two recordings, and this one actually sounds better. So I thought I would have it configured by this time of day, but not so, man. I see. I didn't even get to mush my hair to one side or the other. I don't even know what's going on. Um, you guys saw those pictures of Rush Limbaugh and Jim Morrison? Pretty convincing. I mean, when I first heard this Rush Limbaugh, Jim Morrison thing, I thought, no, come on, Doors, Rush, Doors, Rush, Doors. No, I just couldn't, I couldn't make the. But now I'm thinking like, do we really know what reality is? I mean, I just saw the Matrix movie, of course, so I'm a little bit out of it. But the sound is good, right? Thank you, Byron. 5.5, yeah. I like this way I don't really have to wear the hearing things, and I think this has a better sound overall, but I'm not sure. Yes, it's him, Tamara. The mole on his nose area, dead giveaway. Asia is growing my hair, yes. And you see my beard, like it just when I started taking Asia, it got brown. So it's like you could tell how long I've been drinking Asia by the amount of brown in my hair. Wasn't Jim the Lizard King? I don't know. Everyone needs help due to yeah, everyone needs help. Hey Richard. Hey Tanya, what's going on, man? Say hi to your hubby, man. He's awesome. Gary, Tamara, Jessica. Okay, so we got this. Okay, so let me just start launching right into my whole thing. And may the fourth be with you. Yeah. Okay. So there are a lot of thoughts that are kind of coming through through this vessel, through my vessel, through it's. I don't even think it's my vessel anymore. I don't know who it is, but it is whatever it is, and it is kind of like a radio. It sort of tunes into certain frequencies. So yeah, because of Hashgacha Pratis, because of divine providence. That's really what it's all about. You, paying attention to the details. So I met this very charming and beautiful woman. I mean, I met a lot of charming and beautiful women on my trip, and not in the way that I probably had imagined meeting and these people, but yeah, just meeting really. I met some very nice people. And one of the people that I met said she has a 5-year-old son. So, and this is how God talks to us. So I thought I let that thought kind of like filter through my mind. Oh, she has a 5-year-old son. That means, and that means, in my my version of reality. I won't go into my version of reality because you don't want to know. It's dark and deep in there, and it's they say the mind is a dangerous neighborhood. You shouldn't go in there alone. But anyway, so the long and the short of it was, I thought about a 5-year old child, man, and I thought about the concept of having a 5-year-old child in my life. I'm just theoretically just thinking this. What would that involve? It would involve a whole new educational system. Because when my son was 5, I assumed that the Hasidic way of learning was going to be just fine, and he would turn into a rabbi and he would study Talmud and everything was good. But it didn't in actuality work out like that. In actuality, I still believe I did the right thing in terms of education. A Jewish education is the best thing going, but I believe there could be higher levels. And I think that even that system, I mean, okay, so my son knows how to learn. That's what he got from a Jewish education. My son knows how to learn. He knows that if he wants to learn about anything, all he has to do is get the information and start learning. And he does this. I mean, he now he wants to be an accountant, so he's taking accounting courses. I mean, he knows how to educate himself. He knows how to learn. So I'm glad I gave him that. But there's a much and that's really and that and that was really a good system, I believe, for him. But I don't think everyone. But on the other hand, there were some constraints. There were some like inherent pressures in the system that were not good for him. That didn't. Well, they were good for him in that they moved him to the right place, and that's where good and evil, I think, is. You have when something bad happens, it's really more good than if something good happens, because the bad pushes you in a faster way into a direction that's might be really good for you. But anyway, for my son, he there were certain aspects he just wasn't going to be one of those guys that wear black coats and black hats all day and learn Talmud and go on go putting tefillin on people. It just wasn't for him, and that's fine. I had sort of expected that that's how he was going to grow up and this would be the perfect education for him, but I believe it was a good education nevertheless, because if he chooses to use it, and he does choose to use it, he learns Hasidus, which I think is, I mean, learning Hasidus is the best. And you can learn Hasidus in English. I mean, it's an approach to godliness. It's a way of looking at godliness that is, profoundly interesting and holy. Not to say that other ways of looking at godliness are not also intrinsically holy and high level. So he also learned how to. He learned Aramaic. He learned Hebrew. He knows Yiddish, even though he won't speak it. He knows English, and he also learned from my wife. My I don't know what to call her anymore, because I'm not officially divorced, and I don't even know if I'm ever going to get officially divorced. I spoke to a woman on when I met this nice woman, and she said, why even bother? It's like, what are you? She said, she's like, my age, almost my age. She said, somebody's going to die, and I'm like, well, that's not really how I want to think about it. But like, I'm not, like, if I fall in love with a woman, the last thing I'm going to do is run to the court system and say, okay, man, put me in your system, sign me up. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So it probably doesn't matter anyway. But that's I don't want to get off on a side. Let's stick with education. I want to talk about education because I was a school. Okay, let's go back. Okay, I'm going back. I'm sorry if I'm rambling a bit. So I was a school teacher. I was a public education school teacher for 20 years. I taught chemistry to high school kids. I taught um, math, quote, math and music to 3-year-olds and everything in between. I've taught every age in every situation, mostly inner city kinds of situations, and under all kinds of weird administrators. um, So I have some experience. I also have a very long standing experience as a student, because not only did I go through the regular process, I also extended my educational contact by taking like something like 8 years to graduate college. I was in and out, dropping out, playing music here and there for a couple of years, and finally I got. And then after I became a teacher, I had to take all these night courses. So I've been in a lot of classrooms, and I can safely say that for me personally, like the amount of information that I've gotten out of these classroom situations approaches zero. I mean, I really, for me, and that's just because my temperament. I cannot learn from somebody standing up and talking. It doesn't do it for me. I have to have what's called ratzon. I have to have a desire to learn something, and then I'll go out and learn it on my own, like my son. It's just that's my way, and I know about a lot of different things, and that's why I can do this channel by myself. I mean, like I'm constantly having to do like sort of like little odd job carpentry repairs. And so I was a carpenter contractor for 20 years. I was a teacher for 20 years, and I've been everything in between. But and I think that my life serves as a template for educational systems in the future. And I will get into Intel. I just want to really summarize this thought because I think it's a very important thought. I will get to the Intel because I think it's exciting what's going on. Although I do kind of concur with some sources that are saying all the action really has already been done and we're just waiting for the normies to wake up. I'm kind of in that camp, and that if you want Jasara Nasara, all you have to do is live it. And the quantum financial system has your back. Okay, but with that said, let's stick with education. So I've had a lot of experience with education. I decided at the age of like 26 or 27 to learn to become a carpenter. I decided at the age of 15 to learn how to play five-string banjo. um, and it all, for me, it all comes from what we call ratzon, which means desire. And I'm thinking of my friend Barry Lippman, who never really exceeded, never really was interested in regular schooling, but he became a luthier as a young man. I mean, at 14 or 15, he was already making his own guitars, and he still makes guitars today. And there are people like that. I have a lot of respect for him. I mean, he's a brilliant man. And so there are many different pathways, and to think that everyone has to follow the same educational pathway is just utter nonsense. But what I would say is that depending on the individual and the situation, and of course the family. I was talking to a nice new friend named Sally, and we were talking about the importance of the family unit, especially in terms of education, because there's certain thought streams that are specific to families. I mean, I've known, like my sister's family, everybody is an engineer in her family. Everybody. Her daughters are engineers, they marry engineers. I mean, it's all engineers. I mean, and that's just for them, it would be ridiculous to spend 5 years poring over English literature. It would just be, I mean, there would be no point. So this is really an individual thing, and it will become more individualized, I think, in the future, because the big educational systems are indoctrination systems. They're not real educational systems, and anybody in any field whatsoever will tell you they probably learn very little about the actual work that they're doing through the school. It was just kind of like a gateway experience. Like, I asked Gila about, how much of what you learned in dental school do you use, and she's like, you know they learn, you memorize a lot of things that you may never see again because it just doesn't. Okay, so with, I know this is kind of I'm not giving it concrete, but I'm basically saying that that in early childhood education is probably the most important. That probably from the age of 0 to about 15, that's when you're going to get your big hits, and then the rest is really up to them. But I think in the future things will be more geared towards even younger, they will start to show certain interest in certain types of experiences. You'll have your people who are artistic. The point is, and I think the public educational system became aware of this. They didn't know how to implement it, but they basically came to the conclusion, and I've been in the I've seen the educational system morphing continually in the last 20 years. And a lot of the morphing for them was really just to put money in the pockets of their buddies in terms of new computer programs. And but the idea that each child should be educated in his way, that, like, for example, I'm very glad that I was forced, kind of against my will, to learn Spanish in school. And when I went to Mexico, I felt pretty comfortable using speaking in Spanish to some degree. And the people really liked the fact that I could speak some Spanish. It was an immediate contact, immediate, a show of respect. Now, how did I learn to speak Spanish? I learned by rote in from an early age, but learning by rote did not do anything to me until I had my own carpentry company, and I at that time I only had guys from Central America working for me, and they refused to speak English. So I basically had to start communicating in Spanish, and that forced me to get over my fear, my hesitation, my self doubt, my lack of ability to embody the language, to give the feeling, not just the words of the language. So I'm glad I had that early education, and that's something to keep in mind in education. And it should be an individual experience, not this kind of collective. Let's all basically what they want you to do in the educational system as it exists now is become an administrator and make, let's say, $60,000 a year. In the old days it was 30,000, and push papers and always be struggling because you didn't really learn English in school, but you learned enough so that you can ask people to help you. Is this a sentence? Is this okay? That kind of thing. And now I think there are computer programs that probably help with this kind of reassurance of people. So what I think is important to think in terms of like early education is developing a kind of a schedule for people, just like I continual. It's called Seder in Hebrew. It means order, a kind of an order to your life. So you would dedicate, let's say, a half hour to writing, a half hour to learning Spanish, a half hour to learning your multiplication tables or whatever it is. But you would a half hour to going outside and playing with your friends, a half hour to examining beautiful nature. I'm just saying, like, a kind of a seder, a kind of an order to your educational day. And this, I believe, will keep you all your life. You want to have a half hour of, it could be a half hour of meditation, a half hour of looking at the news on the, I'm just saying, we're like we and really I have complete freedom at this point in my life, basically. When the banks aren't giving away my money, um, to schedule my day as I please. And I've scheduled it so I have we have two live meetings, and I make a movie or two or three, during the day as sort of an extra. But I also pencil in, looking for sea glass in the ocean. I like to spend a little time on the beach. I go grocery shopping, which I consider grocery shopping an adventure. It's not. I'm not just going to get groceries. It's for me. It involves getting on my bike. I have to ride a few miles, and it's, I have to figure out how to get everything home. If I can, I have to pack it right so I can carry everything home. It's an adventure, and I get to, when I go to the grocery store, I carefully examine each thing that I buy, and I decide, is this something I really want in my house? I'm just going to mention briefly that there's There's only one company that sells organic produce at Stop and Shop. It's called Nature's something, and they in fine print they say we only use pesticides that are government certified. So I'm never going to go back there again, because what does that mean? That means they use they can use I mean they use pesticides that are government certified only, meaning they say we do not use any. They word it in a way that sounds like we do not use any pesticides, but what they're really saying is we use only pesticides that are approved by the government. Well, gee, that makes me feel good. The government always has my best interest in mind. They're not going to do anything dangerous to my food source, right? The government, no. So so I don't have access. That's the one thing I'm looking for now. I have a desire, and it's an area that I'm doing research to find a way to get organic food into my house, organic plant based things. I have a meat source that's as organic and kosher as probably I'm going to get it. I'm quite happy with it. I feel good about the meat that I get. It's there, I just have to have faith. I mean, they talk about not injecting the animals and this kind of thing, but and letting them eat regular food. Um, I'm sure that will be tweaked in the future. But this is part of your education. This is all part of the day. A day of my life is a day of education. Really, I'm either learning or teaching, and that's probably true for everyone. We're all going to be. We might be. And it might be learning. I was speaking to a friend this morning about different religious concepts. I mean, there's all kinds of things to learn about that, and it can change. Like I said, when I was 26, I was obsessed with learning how to build things, and then now at my age it's really not as important, although I still think of creating some kind of an ideal living situation that's really designed specifically for my needs at this point, but that also changes. Anyway, so that's it on education. Just that in the future we will not be going to schools to get indoctrinated, because so much of the time is spent in schools learning how to line up. And I mean, and there maybe there's some good to that, but I don't know. After going through customs like 15 times yesterday and going through these long lines, and it's just like enough already, man. Get these people out of our lives. Everybody knows what to do. It's just anyway. Chaim, l'chaim. So I want to get more into education, and I want to support people in breaking free of the 13 bloodline family a system of education, which is really by design indoctrination, into a system that benefits each child in their own way. So, like Barry Littman, man, when he was 5 years old, he could have been taking a course in, how to use a chisel. I don't know. I'm just saying, like he's a great luthier, and if I had a ton of money, I would probably give him a shout out and go visit his shop. I've called him once or twice. I've made reacquainted myself, but I'm just saying that he strikes me as unusual because he was one of the few people in my background that really did his own thing from the get go. I went from different things. I basically became a musician when I was about 15 and just started to I really dedicated myself to that. And I would just kind of like go to school to kind of humor the system, and fake my way into college, and that was a whole learning experience in itself. But the idea of having teachers also, I think that everyone in the future will be considered a teacher, because everyone has what to teach and everyone has what to learn. So I think we'll be using the model of a teacher. Maybe some kind of teaching coordinator might be helpful, but I don't. I think each one of us has to become their own best teacher. So that's it. I want to open this. I want to bring this into our collective consciousness that education will be very important moving forward. We've talked about finances. We talk a lot about medicine. Again, I have great things. I really believe in ASEA, and I believe in their concept, their way of doing business, and their way of approaching the whole thing as, doing service for others. This is very important. When I look at the fact that these dudes are still, giving the ouchie to my mother who's 92. I'm just like, it's like we definitely do not need to contact those people, except in rare situations, and everything could be a lie in terms of, I remember my father, because he had serious ear infections, telling me about the wonders of penicillin. I mean, I don't know if any of this is really, I don't know. Do they invent the diseases? I don't know, but they're definitely suspect, and there are definitely so many like healing platforms that work on on real healing, on electromagnet, like redox. On the ASEA works on the redox, the principle of highly charged particles giving electrons and energy on a cellular basis. Life waves, of course, phototherapy, using your own light energy to reflect back on you. Purium, a food source that has um, no pesticides in it. I mean, these things are going to be more and more important as as we really invent. So, in terms of like looking back and saying when is it going to happen, if I don't believe there's time for that anymore. I believe the time for looking back saying when is it going to go down already is over. Now it's time to create the future. It's time to really be thinking about educating, and educating doesn't stop when you're 46. It just begins in earnest when you're 46. I mean, to stop changing is to get old. So we want to always be changing, always be learning, always be reaching out, always be improving our own outlook and our own knowledge, and our own and relationships, always improving relationships. I think that's fundamentally important. um I'm myself, I'm I met some new friends on my trip, and it's very exciting to have new influences and new people. And I don't think that we necessarily have to limit ourselves. I mean, I think there are times, I think, when you're raising a child. I mean, I stayed in my marriage until my boy moved out. That was just my choice. Um, I have a discussion with a person. She says, like, why did you stay in a relationship if it wasn't good? I said, because I stayed in the relationship because I love my son. I really love my son. And I really wasn't, I wasn't really thinking about my own needs so much. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't horrible, because my focus was in making sure that he had, I mean, look, he spent a lot of time away from home anyway. He was in the educational system that my son grew up in. He left home really at 14 anyway, so he wasn't so much home to begin with. But when he came home for holidays, he always had a mother and father there, and a whole complete family structure. And I think that was really serves him well. He's very secure in his own way, and very polished and refined and mature, much more mature than I was when I was 21. That's for sure. Anyway, okay, so that's it. I just want to open the idea, and I want people to be thinking. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. I want people, especially if you have little children or you have grandchildren, to be thinking about what's best for them. And I really don't think even the Jewish educational system, I think, is just there are a lot of there are a lot of things that we need to think about in terms of education. I mean, I'm not saying that it is very good for kids to be together and to create together. And I love, in the Jewish system, there's something called chabrusas, which is two young men learn together, and that's a very beautiful system. um, so I'm not saying that we should all be loners and sit in front of a computer all day learning weird skills. I mean, there are some people who that fits. I mean, I have friends that are like that, One of them I'll just tell briefly the story, and then I'll go to the intel. But one of them is an IT man now. He works for IT, and he does quite well. Um, and I once said to his father, did my friend go to college? And the father said, he said, you wanted him to go to college so he could make less money. In other words, he was perfecting his skills in terms of computer security, and he didn't, college would have just gotten in his way. College is not for everyone. It's and our Rebbe was not for it because he understood that it was more about indoctrination than education. I went to graduate school at Columbia, and I can say I don't have a lot of good things to say about it, but it gave me time to sit and write. So that in that sense, it was really good. But you know what? I could have just sat down and written and gone to workshops. It's nice to share your art with other people and get reactions. Okay, anyway, so that said, I'm just saying don't stop thinking about tomorrow. There's a lot to create. We're creating a new world. It's not just about finances, it's about education is a very fundamental and important aspect of this whole future that we are actively creating as participants, as quantum members of a galactic community. We are going to want our kids to be educated and take their place next to galactics everywhere. We want them to feel comfortable, like they could go to a foreign planet and chill. Okay, having a trade is important, right? But it's not going to be like that. I don't believe you're right having a trade, but I mean personally, I believe in having many trades. I mean, I'm a carpenter, I'm a teacher, I can do gardening, I can do tree surgery. I once worked. I can do. I have a degree in administration. I mean, I think one should have a trade, but I think one should have many trades. That's what I would say, and continually. Thank you, Mio. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, and music, Mio, it's perfect to be able to play music just for your own enjoyment, just so you can express yourself emotionally. I mean, there are times when I get into when I was married, when I get into a really low place, and even now, sometimes I get into a place where I can't really express the kind of feelings except through my music, and everyone should have that kind of thing, be it painting, be it but we don't want to have one trade. I don't believe we want to have many trade. We want to be good at relationships. We want to be good at speaking. We want to have many, be able to speak different languages. We want to be able to understand the language of math, to have a full, understanding it. To just like learning a language, you have to memorize some things. You also have to memorize some multiplication tables in order to feel comfortable with math. And we will be in the future. We won't be dealing with math in solely in a computational sense, but we'll be using math in more of a spiritual sense, just like we'll be using like the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, or letters in general, and numbers and all these things. We will understand the spiritual significance of these more. So that will be part of education. Is certainly communication. I met a guy in my stay at this hotel. It's really a wonderful experience. But I met this guy Juan. His name was Juan, a young man, and I saw he had this notepad full of all these highlighted notes in different colors. I said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, this is how I keep organized." I said, "It's brilliant. It's so beautiful." And I said that somebody once told me, Dr. Wasserman, a friend of mine. Benzie told me he gave me this book called Getting Things Done. And it was about keeping on a note any thought you had, like thoughts that were like, I have to pick up my laundry. You write them down on a piece of paper so you don't have to keep it in your mind. And I was telling him, I said, this is brilliant because you don't want to have anything in your mind to clear. You want your runway to be open to receive, planes of thoughts that are productive and godly, and not like spend, jam up your circuits going, oh my gosh, I have to be, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock. You have it on a piece of paper. You know the meeting's down there. You know you're going to look at the piece of paper, and that's a way to free your mind. Well, one of my friends once said, think with your heart and dance with your mind. So you can dance with your thoughts. You can entertain, beautiful things. I mean, and you in the dance of life that we do, we're dancing between thinking and having to interact with the physical world. For me, it's as little as setting up a microphone, or making a meal for myself, or making many meals for myself. I mean, it involves planning. Like I have to, I thaw out my frozen blueberries at a certain point, and I don't eat them for a couple of hours till later, and then I have to cut other fruit, and I put, I mean, these involvements with the physical world are beautiful and spiritual in their own way, and they're necessary. I mean, I have to cook, I have to eat. So as we progress from a slave mentality into a freedom mentality, and we are constant creators, we're creating every moment of the day. What do I feel like doing now? I really feel I want to pick up the phone and call my friend Tally. I just feel like making, it's like that. And that's you have the freedom to do that. You have the freedom. I got to check in with Gila, man. I don't know what she's thinking today, but I must know. These kinds of, that's part of your day. That's part of your planning, your seder. I know I'm going along on this, but I once had a friend named Chuck, and he was a very wealthy man. He invented these little flat bricks that you could put up kind of cosmetically in your kitchen and make it look like you had real bricks. And he invented it in his apartment in Queens, and he did quite well. He sold out to Home Depot at some point, but he was a character. But he told me that he makes like a 5-year plan, which I cannot do. I only live by what God tells me, or what thoughts come into my mind on a thought by thought basis. I'm not capable of planning. But he told me he would make a 5-year plan, and he would say, he would schedule in, like, I'm going to buy a house here. I'm going to take a vacation at this point. Everything he had, that was the way his mind worked. And as we understand that we come here with different skills, different talents, different personalities, we will honor ourselves and stay out of the negative. We Right now we're being bombarded with shame and fear and guilt, and and financial slavery and all this other medical slavery. But once we free ourselves from the matrix, I just saw the Matrix yesterday, the movie, we will be free to be in a state of constant creation, which, like, I kind of, I'm older, chronologically older. I'm actually getting younger now, you see, from the beard and the hair. But um, the as you get older, you're more free from worry and stress and shame. Amalek, it's called in the Bible, the demon of doubt. Yes. Okay. Just relax. Okay, man. I got you. Okay. I'm doing what I have to do. I'll talk to you later. See, you got to keep doubt in its place, man. You can't let him dominate your life. No, 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 no way. No, no. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Yes, send me a telegram. How about that? So, yeah, we have to keep everything in its place. Amalek. This is the demon of doubt. This is the thing that cools you off. In the Bible, they say it cools you off to godliness, but it really, godliness means your thoughts, that the godly thoughts that come into your mind, because we're going direct. Even in Chassidus, it says that, in the era of Mashiach, we will communicate directly with God. We won't need people to tell us what to think and what not to think. Oh my God. I mean, that's the last thing you need, is somebody telling you, don't do this, don't do that, you can't do this, that's not right. I mean, you already know what's right and wrong. I mean, you don't need a weatherman to tell you which way the wind is blowing. So, all right. Anyway, so yeah, but it is. I'm not disagreeing with you totally, Wendy. It is important, but I think you should have many trades, and you should, I mean, for me personally, I've had many trades. I got to plug in, and like this whole YouTube thing, man. I mean, this is something I taught myself I didn't take a course in um, having a YouTube channel, though I would love. I've always wanted to teach that. I mean, I'd love to. I love anybody who I offer this, but then I don't always produce. But I love to help people start their own YouTube channel. It's just a great way to get in contact with yourself. Um, yeah. Anyway, okay. So yeah. Anyway, so let's get to some people. People were groomed and programmed to divide each other. Yeah, demon of doubt. That's what they are. Yeah, may not have many traits, but so curious about Moloch is evil. Yeah, that's for sure, man. Moloch is evil. Tell him you don't give your consent to evil plans. Yeah, for sure, we're not going to hang out with Moloch. I mean, and we're going to do the opposite, which is about education. Instead of eating our kids, oh my God, really? We will we will make them fruitful and being able to, we will make our kids, give our kids the ability to be fruitful and multiply and really enjoy this glorious creation of an existence as it is right now. Yeah, we're all on the same channels, right? Yeah, I don't think Mark Taylor doesn't get enough credit. Where's book? Had a beautiful CDs. Starving, yeah, I go through that also, man. Sometimes when I was vacationing, I was hungry a lot of the time because I didn't really have, like my food planning for the day is a very essential part of my Seder, and I have a, as I learn to live on my own, I'm developing a system of of eating that works for me. Okay, let's hit some intel. Yeah, we're okay. So I'm gonna go up with this, and I have Telegram right here. Okay, here we go. So let me go to the bottom. To all the side chicks, just believe she's as handsome as the king. I don't know what that's about. Okay, Queen's Judaic initiation. Okay, this is, I'm going to share on the Intel channel. Oh my gosh, this is going to blow me away. This is so beautiful. Let me put this on Gila's channel too, and on Kabbalah Guru. I'm putting a beautiful thing, and I'm going to watch this video later, but there's a video that.
Few people know that cathedrals of old were actually massive energy conductors. The pipe organs they housed produced frequencies which vibrated at perfect resonance with.
You probably can't hear it, but they're saying that the cathedrals of old were resonance frequency energy devices, and we're going to go back to that, I'm sure, soon. Breaking: due to the emergence of ordinals, Bitcoin NFTs, over 450,000 transactions are now stuck pending on the Bitcoin blockchain as fees have surged to new highs. It now costs an average of $19 for every Bitcoin transaction, but many exchanges are charging 60 plus to process them. Okay, that's interesting. Um, what do we have here? Durham conspiracy indictments and Hill Dog. What did BO say while he was in the White House? BO. Boom. Happy Monday. So it says that the Hill Dog staff paid to get in Mr. T's servers. So that's quite an interesting little factoid. The U.S. needs 30 billion to seal 14,000 unplugged oil shore gas and oil wells study. Okay. May 9th, there's a drop on May 9th. It says, Welcome to the Great Awakening. All right. Macron's 8th May VE Day celebration. See the people cheering. There aren't any because all gatherings have been banned to ensure there are no protests. Banning those who won't comply with the narrative is only just the beginning. Right. Oh, what a beautiful sight. So, does that mean we're going into what a beautiful sight? This is Guantanamo Bay, some kind of airplane circling it, leaving Fort Hood. Okay. Guided missile destroyer USS Arleigh Burke transits the Suez Canal May 4th. Arleigh Burke is deployed to the U.S. Fifth Fleet area of operations to help ensure maritime security and stability in the Mideast. Mine's up 200 extra. Okay, this news isn't really giving me what I want. Let me go to another station. I just want kind of a quick update on, in general, what's okay. This is good. I've been telling you about military ops alliance coming after Microsoft. Now, white hats were going to capture, just like they were going to capture Twitter. I read this last night, but it bears repeating. Even before anyone was talking about World War on or nukes, I was giving information. Okay, I was telling you how it's all going to connect to Gilligan's Island, the computer, the medical cover up. It's happening. People thought I was fear mongering. Many things are happening behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, white hat feds and military are leaking the Gilligan's Island info and data. EU is going to be brought back into the Gilligan's Island saga. Banks, intelligence at Gilligan's home, all that good stuff. All right, so there's also not. Okay, so let me just see. Zimbabwe is moving to gold and silver. That could be the beginning of a big move. May 11.5, the 11th of May, the mandate requirement for travelers, for international travelers, is over May 11th. May 27th, sink the Bismarck. May 29th, JFK Sr.'s birthday. May 11 is 11.5 in the Law of War Manual. To May 29th, a difference of 18 days. I don't know what that means. Let me just look at there's a picture of the 9 justices, and only Justice Clarence Thomas has his face. The rest of them have been um, possibly removed to go on a trip to a an island in the Caribbean named called Cuba. All right, they've all been gitmoed. So, and there's something about Mike Pence. A storm is coming in 1 week from today. That's on May 4th. I assume he's talking about people going across the border May 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, May 11. So today is let's find out. I don't even know what day. Today is the Monday, May 8th. Okay. And they're talking about I see Mr. Poole has a picture of a black swan. They're saying the narrative kill date could be election day +1. Prepare for 0 day, massive cyber power attacks on 11-4. All right, let's see if there's anything else of interest. May 9th, Deltas start off with lots of things about China. After the Drain It Delta, this is legitimately a big China Tuesday chance. The ending of the old BTC is coming, the coming of the new Stellar, Ripple, QFS, starting with the letter Z or Omega in Greek. Something really strange just happened with Bitcoin. Loads of it was taken off Binance, and loads of volume went off into the lunar calendar, March 20th, National Frog Day. As said, all major dams and they will fall. Okay, May 9th, Daniel 8:14, 20, May 9th, 2023, defeat over the Nazis in World War II. Okay, these are most of our investments. I'm going to go off onto another channel. Let's try here. Okay, so this was something I saw earlier. They were saying, here's some quote. I'm hearing that they are tired, battle weary. They don't know if they can hold out much longer. We are frogs and we don't quit. Quitting is not an option, nor will it ever be again. We are here till the finish line. We chose to be here when we accepted God's whisper. We are God's chosen warriors. Yes, sometimes it gets rough, but we are too close to the end to quit. It's fine to step back a bit, but we never quit. Take a look at how far we have come. We are almost there. For us, quitting is no longer an option. Perhaps we need to find an alternative route to the finish line. Some of us like the direct route. Some of us prefer to take the long way around. Either way, neither way is wrong. The final outcome is the same. We reach our goal. So please, Frog family, hang in there. It will be truly worth it in the end. And then there are a bunch of quotes. Cowards never start. The weak never finish. Winners never quit. Anonymous. When you feel like quitting, think about why you started. The moment you're about to quit is the moment right before the miracle happens. Don't give up. Life has two rules. One, never quit. Two, always remember rule one. You'll see me struggle, but you'll never see me quit. Pain is temporary, quitting is forever. One of the most common causes of failure is a habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. It is always too early to quit. All right. Anyway, this I'll share this on the Intel channel, Kabbalah Guru. Oh, this was a really beautiful. Let me just see if this is the same thing.
The
Yeah.
Cabal parade about as if no one can touch them. I would remind them that
Okay, I'm sharing this on the Intel channel. I may have already done this, but this is a beautiful little video. I'm going to give it tequila too. It's a little video about our disdain will turn to joy with public justice. It will be much sweeter than we anticipated, believed, and fought through the prefaces with our heads held high. Our struggle is to make it so special. The price you paid is not to be swept under the rug. God remembers everything you've done for him. He sees and won't allow the bad guys to achieve their desired goal. He has deliverance planned. He is pleased to have you share in his joy and play your God given role. Victory is coming. He won't abandon us. We're living our deliverance. Think about the enemy works against the children when deliverance comes. In Moses' day, they murdered many children to stop him from coming, but this is to no avail. And the same thing happened later, but we all turned out. Now let this sink in. The enemy has sacrificed more children than any moment in the history of the world. What are they so afraid of? If precedent is something, we're witnessing a full scale war against our generation. An enemy hates deliverance. He knows he usually targets the children. Special happening. Think about it. I would argue we are walking through a modern day exodus, but on a global scale, this is absolutely unprecedented. Millions of children are being slaughtered. I, um, they won't argue it's because they are children. We are slaves to misery, Babylon, and its they're panicking. Here's the good news: God never fails. He didn't fail in Moses' day. He didn't fail when Jesus destroyed their works. He will not fail in our generation. And he delivers us from the 13 bloodline families. God is winning the Great Awakening. Anons will be looked on kindly as a ragtag group of digital soldiers who work to wake up the people whose time is coming. Hold your head up high, Anon. You were part of a spark that set the world on fire. There's absolutely no stopping what has begun. Everything the enemy does is brought back against him. Think of the plagues in Egypt. Every single one hit the enemy in the end, and only God's people survived. A day is coming when everything that they have will be taken from them, perhaps suddenly, and you, the Anon, will have front row seats for the great moment of our time. And I think it is something worth thanking God for. And even though we experience the bitterness of awakening and much of the world, our elation will be unlimited when the time comes. Goodbye, Mystery Babylon. Our light is shining on. Your days of rule are coming to a glorious end. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I read that sort of fast, but you can watch it yourself. It's a little video on the Intel channel. Platinum World Production, list of countries by Platinum Production. All right, this is similar. All right, we made it till 12. I know I was all over the place. I apologize. I don't think the Intel. I'm not really. Let me look at one more channel. I'm not really seeing anything that really smacks of something that I would be interested in. Let me just see. There's one more channel that sometimes has some interesting things. Okay, the Biden regime turned the military into a kind of a funny show with the sexual things. Robert Kennedy Jr. blames the three-letter agency that starts with a C for 1963 thing. Breaking news from around the world. You think? Fruit extract may kill cancer. Big Pharma, make sure they don't get this out. By the way, ASEA, Big Pharma tried to buy out ASEA. That's why another reason I support it. And the founder, um, Tyler Norton, he and his father made sure that this got out to that ASEA got out to the people, and instead of being buried by big pharma, so too LifeWaves and Purium. I like, any of these things. Just call the people down there, and they will help you out. It's it's for me, it's health insurance. Just my little commercial announcement. The assassination is going to be exposed to the world. I mean, when you find out, when I found out what really happened that day, my mind was blown. Senior Google software engineer jumps to his death. One Democrat took thousands of dollars from big medical thing. And that's really all the unread stuff on this channel. Panic, Gilligan's Island is exposed as a deep state asset. Revealed, his letters reveal a Phoebe source about the laptop. I mean, yeah, I'm all right. So that's really about it on the intel. I believe. I don't think I'm not seeing like staggering things. Let me just do one more thing before we close, and that is I want to check out the market. The market's down a little bit. Nothing, revolutionary. Hey, Gila, and that's about it, man. Everything is good. Let me go back to where we are. We have 447. All right, guys. So have a great day. And oh, wait, one thing. Hold on one second. Um, okay. Okay. Anyway, have a wonderful day, Richard. Good to see you. Digital Revolution, Tanya, honey. Yeah, my health insurance is very good and usually used for urgent care. They fix minor things, not emergencies. Interesting. They shot a body double. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Chosen. Hey, Chosen. Kisses back. And Talmud lessons. Yeah. A little bit that I know. Oh, child abduction. Yeah, anyway, I think things are really good. I think we should be thinking in terms of, your own education and educating the little ones, that it's all good. And just have a great day. We'll see you tonight. Make sure you get plenty of rest, drink lots of water, and enjoy the day for all that it offers. And try to keep your mind uncluttered so you can receive information from source. I think that's a good thing to leave with. Okay, see you guys later. God bless. Love you all. Bye.